Hi, hello, boys, girls, and everything in between. We're here again with some content a bit earlier this week. Not as early as I would have liked. I really would have liked to do it yesterday. I'm frankly a little tired today. But a certain team or two teams waited till today to play their games. So I had to wait till today to do the content because I didn't really want to do it with games still waiting to be played. We have quite a lot of a lot of series, not really a lot of games because there's a lot of best of ones. So let's just start with the first ones. Creature versus O's. Oh, this is me. Um, yeah. So neither of these. We'll get to the bracket as well. Neither of these teams are in the bracket still, so I guess there's not too much point talking about them. Um, but I guess we'll briefly go over the drafts here. The final game of Team O's before being eliminated. They pick Adusa. AM's in the pool. We picked AM. It's an insane AM game. They have Clock Sanking, Dusa. They last picked a bat. I don't entirely know what the idea there was. If it was meant to just be like a Viper counter, because I could maybe see. I don't know a whole lot about the matchups, but I could see bat being like a lane counter to Viper maybe, since Viper's no way to get rid of the fire flying bat, no way to escape, no way to get the bat off of him, and he can't really attack the bat when the bat is slowing his turn speed. So I assume that was the thinking there. We just put Timber mid, he maxed Timber chain. I think Bat got first blood, but then after that, he just kind of lost. So overall, just kind of a draft loss from O's. It's a little unfortunate with the best of one to have, I think, what turned out to be a pretty big draft loss, but it is what it is. It was a pretty short game. It was a pretty one-sided game. Both these teams are eliminated. Let's move on. Dumbledore versus Antikythera was a forfeit. No one saw that one coming. Idiots versus Wards and Base, another game where both teams are eliminated, so it's not that important. I stood in this game. This game was also pretty short, pretty one-sided. I believe there were teams first banning Darkseer. I believe there were teams first banning Clinks. These are like the best, most played heroes of both these players. I don't know if it was an outdraft in the sense. Like, I honestly think on paper, Wards and Base draft was probably better here. I don't really think Idiots outdrafted, but they did pick just heroes they were very comfortable with. They picked this Odie, which is very strong right now. I guess you could call it more so outplay than outdraft. I think it was outplay versus outdraft, but part of that is that you allowed Idiots to have their comfort heroes, which makes it easier to outplay when you know what you're doing on the hero. So that was that. Vapor versus Grin Ethereal. I guess we can spend a little longer on this one since Vapor is still in it, I think. Yes. Yes, they are. Okay. How's that noise? Right, sorry. That being said, I guess this game almost looks close. Not really. Grin Ethereal is obviously one of the weakest teams of the season. They did get a win or two, unlike Antikythera, but they were just below the MMR average, as everyone knows at this point. So it's not surprising to see Team Vapor win here. We saw an early puck pick, which is quite nice. They're on a support, which is a little surprising, especially given I don't really. It doesn't look like there's any reason not to run it mid, based on the heroes that Vapor picked. They decided to run Sky mid, which inevitably lost the lane to the Void Spirit. I think that's an expected outcome in my opinion. I don't understand why they didn't do this the other way around. Put Sky safe or Sky support and Puck mid. I guess this guy plays a lot of Sky. I mean, in theory, I guess I think it kind of feels bad to pick a comfort hero and then. I guess he had an okay game. I don't know. I guess that's fine. They were at a disadvantage. You can't blame them for picking comfort heroes here. We get a Lycan pick. Don't know if I entirely understand the point of this one either. Oh, the cat's going nuts. Sorry. Is this good against Lycan? Maybe do you outpace him? Surely, if you try and fight the TB, did I say fight Lycan? If Lycan tries to fight TB, I'm pretty sure TB just kills him. I assume the plan was to outpace them, move quickly with Sky and Lycan. That had to be the plan here, right? Yeah. You have the Sky, you know that you're early game centric, you pick a Lycan to end quickly. It didn't work because they lost lanes, which is a pretty common issue when they lost every lane. What was their, what were they behind? Like 3 to 2 to 3k at 10, and that quickly grew to like 5 to 6. Yeah, I'm not sure. So this is like kind of meta. Um, Not like in the traditional sense that fuck the normal meaning of the word meta, not like the Dota meaning or the video game meaning of the word meta. But I think when you're a like lower MMR team, it's often best to play for like big team fights, late game kind of stuff. In my opinion, I think if you try and do an early game lineup and your team consists of weaker players, it's harder to pull off because you need to have an early lead, you need to win lanes, you need to snowball your lead. And that doesn't work if you have weaker players. They lost all their lanes. Not much else to say there. I don't think there's too much to say about Vapor here. I guess the early Enigma pick was very interesting. That may be something to keep an eye on. Charbs, the Enigma's right there. Second most played hero. The fact they picked with it and won with it, maybe they'll try and do it again. We'll see. Something to keep in mind for Vapor's upcoming games, I guess. Next up was Hellbears versus Coconuts. This was the upper bracket. In hindsight, I probably should have put this at the top of my list. This was the upper bracket game. The only upper bracket game, that I predicted, because the other upper bracket game got played before I made this. It got played like early, I think. I'll have to grab the link for that in a bit. But we'll just start off by looking at this one. This was definitely an upset. Both in terms of seeding and previous matchups, because the last time Hellbears and Coconuts faced off, this season Hellbears 2-0'd, and last season Hellbears 2-0'd them as well. So they were 4-0 against them, at least recently. I think I saw that at some point Hellbears got 2-0'd. Should I look at that actually? Here we go. Yeah, so the last two times that they played, one of which was this season, Hellbears 2-0'd. Looks like last season, it's actually kind of the reverse of this one, I guess, where Hellbears got 2-0'd by Coconuts in groups and then proceeded to 2-0 them in the playoffs. This season we have the reverse, where Hellbears 2-0'd Coconuts in groups and then Coconuts 2-0'd in playoffs. How nice. How cyclical. First game looks like a total stomp. We see the early Winter Wyvern pick. Probably a steal from Hellbears. I know they like picking Alex, the Winter Wyvern. We see a semi-early Ricky pick. I see a lot of people picking it crazy early, so I've seen teams like fucking first pick the damn thing. So I don't know if it's like that early, but whatever. Fourth in the draft. Also, the Earthshaker picked before the Ricky. From what I can tell, I like flavor of the month support. A lot of people like it for various reasons. Damn, Zeus never died. We see a Wraith King, Helena. Holy shit, he went 0-11 on this rookie. Alright. What was he against? He was against Mars. Matt Joman is like definitely one of the best players in this league. I think I've said this multiple times now. He is one of the best players in this league. I feel like Control has done very well in lane previously though, so I'm surprised to see what looks like kind of got stopped, right? This game is 48-12, so maybe it was more than just his lane. Maybe things just began falling apart across that map. Yeah, in lane it's actually pretty even. Early game is pretty even. He looks like he died a couple times, but he still has like some farm relative to other heroes in the game. Same amount as Wraith King, same amount as Mars. But yeah. God, I got distracted. I didn't even finish talking about this. We see a Zeus pick, which seems a little weird to me, given there's a Riki in the game. I understand it's like, oh, I zip zap see the Riki with my vision. I've always felt it's like such a double-edged sword, though. Because Riki can get on you very easily, and we see he has a Ghost Scepter here, and he could have also, if the game was closer, maybe gotten like Force Staff and Ag Shard, but Blink as well, maybe. He had a Blink, actually, so. That's always been a weird one to me. I feel like it's like a double-edged sword, but yeah, whatever. When you're winning, it's definitely good. So then they have the Mars with the ability to detect him with a spear, and probably just do Wait, actually, that is a little weird. Like, I think you're good at jumping on Ricky. Because if you spear him to the wall, you don't even need vision. It'll give you vision. But the whole Mars takes less damage from the front, Ricky hits you in the back thing. I think win rate wise, at least global win rate, which isn't always very reliable, I think Ricky's considered good against him. Yeah, it's in the top 3 worst win rates for Mars, but yeah, whatever. They pick it. I think in the greater context of the draft, it looks okay. Both supports are very susceptible to insta-dying to the combo. And it just gives them a lot of team fight in combination with the Wyvern and the Shaker. So yeah, very stompy. Game 2, I actually watched part of, if not all of. I think I was actually in lobby for this one. Was I? I don't remember exactly. Yeah, I think I was in lobby for this. I at least watched the whole thing. Control had a very good game. This was a lot more back and forth. It really looks. I really thought that the early game was a little rough, I think, for Hellbears, and then I really thought they were going to win, and they just couldn't take high ground. Oh, that's right. I watched the stream of this. I couldn't watch in game because Dodo was super buggy, I think. So I think I may have watched the stream. Did I? Yeah, because I was watching the stream and I was hoping to hop in the game 3 lobby because it looked like Hellbears was going to win, and then Hellbears lost. They just kind of failed to go high ground. They failed to take a Roche, and then with a bunch of buybacks, diebacks, Coconuts was able to end the game. 1 kill down even at the very end. So with the draft, we saw the Winter Wyvern getting stolen once again. We saw the Shaker once again. Hellbears this time mix it up. They took a Treant pretty early. Don't entirely understand the reasoning for it, but whatever, it seemed to work. They took an Oracle as well. Very defensive. Almost seemed too defensive to me. They take an Axe. Coconuts pick a Jug into it, which is a little weird in my opinion. Jug is traditionally really struggles against Axe. I mean, Lorenzo had a pretty shitty game, honestly. 8 and 10. He made the most of it, but there was a lot of times where it's like the Axe would just jump on him, and as a Juggernaut, there was nothing he could really do about that other than die. Lethal Kittens, I think, had a really good game, honestly. He crushed for most of the game. Then we had a Leshrac pick, which I guess was like kind of a comfort pick for them because it was picked very early. They wanted to last pick Control's hero, which is understandable. But it didn't end up doing a whole lot. It says it lost the lane here. I don't remember it having a very good lane. I think it got rotated on quite a bit. The supports on Coconuts are obviously much higher MMR than the supports on Hellbears. I think Alex and Firefist, for the most part, hold their own in the Divine League, but there's a lot of MMR on Coconuts Gaming, and I think it kind of showed a bit in this series. I think the support play from Coconuts was generally a lot better than the support play from Hellbears, even if the cores were more comparable. But I mean, I could be looking too much into that. But anyway, as I was saying, Master Z did not really have a lot of impact this game, I think, at any point. Like he did stuff. He obviously did a ton of damage. He's still a Leshrac, but he definitely wasn't like owning the game, crushing the game. He was just like a Leshrac that wasn't able to snowball. Still got a lot of farm, but it doesn't have as much impact as the Arc Warden late game. And Arc Warden was also very good at protecting the high ground with the bubbles. They also picked the Timber hero without knowing what the safe laner was going to be. It looked like a very good Slark game. I like the Slark pick. I don't entirely. This must just be the comfort thing. I know Matt Joman plays this quite a bit. I don't really understand why he picked it this game. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it worked out. They won. Whatever. I think it was kind of similar to the Leshrac, where I think this is a hero that wants to snowball to some degree, and he wasn't able to snowball. He died quite a bit early, but he at least made a lot of space for his very greedy 1-2 duo. And, Master Z didn't snowball either, so that's that. And back to best of ones temporarily. Well, actually, let's look at the other best of 3, shall we? Before I go back to best of ones. I have to find this one because I don't have it linked. Where it is. Okay, so Wilgang, ironically, because this is exactly how Wilgang beat us. They won game 1 and then lost 2 games in a row. Game 1 looks fairly stompy. They have an Alchemist safe lane Alch with the Battle Fury, which I hear is rather popular nowadays. Combine it with a Dazzle. Yeah. So let's see. It was a last pick Alchemist, so it's kind of cheesy. I think Alch tends to be very good against Wraith King. You're kind of like Wraith King in a lot of ways. I guess not so much with the Battle Fury build. But arguably in the Battle Fury build, you're even better against Wraith King because you're doing a lot of physical against a low armor hero. But you just farm a lot faster than him. Kind of serve a similar purpose where you're a very tanky right clicker, very hard to kill. Alch because of all the regen, and Wraith King because of his second life, as well as both having pretty decent health pools. I find it interesting. This is my first time looking at this series. I find it interesting that they picked this Dazzle so early. That being said, I think they did do that against us as well. I guess it's just a comfort pick for them. It's maybe something for other teams to look out for. We saw Victoria's Secret banning out Lich and Nyx. I believe we did the same thing against them, or something similar. Banned out the Lich. Kill Yourself seems to just play a lot of Maiden and Lich. Maiden obviously not being a very good hero, Lich being a very good hero. Well, maybe not very good, but I think a lot better than Maiden. I think it also shows that if they get the chance to pick Lich, they will, but if they get the chance to pick Maiden, they'll just take a Dazzle instead. So, understandable ban there. We saw an early Puck pick, pretty common. Victoria's Secret has done this before too. Early picked CD Alex the Puck. We saw the Wraithing ban coming out after the Earthshaker and the Tiny. I wonder what they thought when they saw this combo of heroes. Because I don't think Tiny is something you see very much nowadays. Let alone, like, as a mid. As a 4, maybe, but there's already been a Shaker picked. I don't know, and they couldn't really be offlane because there's a Sand King. They must have known it was a Tiny mid, but I don't know. Maybe that was like their idea of dealing with Puck. Maybe this new mid they have likes Tiny against Puck. Seems a little weird to me. Doesn't look like it was a very high impact Tiny. Like, this hero just, like, blows people up. That's like his whole job. You technically have the most kills on your team, but not by much. They have very defensive items. It's a little weird. I mean, maybe it was fine. You can't really complain about 8 and 3. Probably made a lot of space. But the game was basically just that Yuki got very farmed on this last pick, Alchemist. I don't even really care about these other picks, honestly. Rubik, whatever. This is some okay spells to steal. Mars, whatever. Decent offlaner. Main thing here is that they just got out-cheesed, and they really don't have the heroes to deal with Alchemist. I guess also with Wilgang now in the best of 1 circuit, something to look out for. The Alchemist cheese. As Victoria's Secret definitely did game 2. So game 2, let's go. We see a Lich and a Sand King ban this time. No Dazzle. Oh, that's right. This is what I think I did Lich Sand King. Because their offlaner is like a mega Sand King player. Yeah. So anyway, once again, Wilgang have last pick. They also have Dire again. That's kind of interesting. I guess Wilgang prefers Dire then. I wonder if I already figured this out actually in my series and I just forgot. But I the fact that like Victoria's Secret got first pick, like if you prefer, it seems most of the teams in this league do prefer the second pick. So teams like mine, like I preferred first pick and I got it almost every game. I think there was like maybe one game. I think the game against Dumbledore in the group stage, they took first pick, but every other game I got first pick, and I think Victoria's Secret must be the same way here if they're getting first pick every game. But it's interesting that Wilgang also seems to prefer Dire as opposed to Radiant, because I thought most teams like Radiant, but no, yeah, it's whatever. I think O's may have taken Dire as well. I could be wrong. I know there's reasons that certain teams pick Dire. I don't know what Wilgang's is, but I've heard arguments for it. But let's get into this game. We have an early Monkey King pick for Master. Pretty safe hero to pick early, frankly, in my opinion, at least. For Core, we see a Phoenix pick for offlane. They did this against my team as well. Earthshaker picked early as well this game. Excuse me. Flavor of the Month support. I think also probably specifically nice against Shaman, because you can long range cancel. Probably not really on their minds when they picked it. I'm sure they slammed it in regardless. But it's worth noting, we see a later puck pick, this time by Wilgang. We see a Snapfire in response to the Phoenix. A little surprised it wasn't banned. I'm super surprised that they picked Phoenix and immediately banned Night Stalker. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Um, this hero literally is countered by Phoenix. Yeah, whatever. We see a Winter Ribbon ban. Lena ban, I understand, is very good against the Lena. Or Lena ban, I understand, is very good against the Phoenix, because you're an egg hitter. Wyvern, I don't entirely understand what they were thinking. Maybe planning for something, I don't know. Night Stalker, I think, is just a bad ban. I cannot see any reason to ban this hero. SGO likes it, but I just pop egg. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't think there's any reason that would convince me that was a good ban. It seems like Snap's kind of an obvious choice, honestly. But whatever. Snap was left in the pool. Yeah, Snap's a little overrated against Phoenix IMO. Later in the game, like early game, you definitely see some eggs go down to Snap ease, but later in the game, you don't really have enough shots. You don't really have enough range. Because getting in that close is very dangerous for support unless you're planning on running this thing core. And on core, you're probably wanting to shoot heroes. And this is an offlane Phoenix, so you'd expect the point where it becomes hard for Snap to deal with the egg occurs very quickly. That being said, I still think it's worth picking it. I don't think it's too bad. Potentially an overrated counter, but still a counter nonetheless. I definitely would have banned Snap if I was Wilgang. But whatever. Probably not the game-changing pick ban. We see a puck, we see an AA, and then we see a Legion Commander. The Legion Commander is a little interesting. There's nothing for you to W. There's nothing worth purging off. I guess that's not entirely true. You can purge off Phoenix W and then hit Egg. So I guess that part's useful. And if you can get a hold of the puck, it's a pretty good dual target. I guess A is a good dual target too, but that's really hard to find in theory. I found him once. I don't know. Is Phoenix maybe a dual target? Phoenix, I think, is decently tanky. Maybe it works. If they survive the duel, they are just going to immediately egg, though, which is not good for you. So maybe a bit of a comfort pick. I don't entirely get it, but whatever. I can't complain. Then we see this Windranger pick, followed by a Morph. Windrunner CD Alex seems to honestly be very solid. At least for the last couple weeks, it seems like they've gone off a lot. Divine 4. Why did I think this person was ancient? I was going to say they're a good ancient player. That's just incorrect. Either way, very solid. They seem to be popping off in a lot of these games. This one, no exception. 17-1 and 14. Incredible scoreline. It's not even like Wilgang lacks like lockdown. Like this guy didn't even get an early BKB. They went Maelstrom, Ags, BKB instead of you'll often see the BKB before the Ags. It was still at 25 minutes because they were owning so hard, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lockdown on Wilgang to take out the Windranger. She's not very good against Egg either. She can run away from it pretty effectively, but clicking it is kind of hard. I don't think your base attack speed's very good, and you can't ult it. I think you should be able to continue ulting the Phoenix after Egg if you ulted before Egg, but I mean, if you've ulted the Phoenix and they get Egg off, that's not good. You've already failed at that point. The fact you can then kill them after doesn't really matter that much. So honestly, it's like I think Windranger is a pretty safe pick. You can kind of pick it into any game where you're not super like you just want a generic mid, and it doesn't look like a bad Windranger game. But this doesn't look like a game where it's like, oh yeah, great Windranger game, definitely going to go 17-1. This seems like there was a lot of outplay going on or something, in my opinion, anyway. Aspic Morph, whatever. I don't know if he got gunned down by Windrunner a lot. Yeah, okay, that's exactly what happened. Got gunned down by Windranger. Died a couple times to Snap. Don't know how that happened exactly. You'd have to watch to find out. Probably somewhat lucky. I'd be surprised if Snap was doing a lot of the damage here. Actually, that was probably a dual combo, right? Dual into globs. That's probably how those kills happened. Whatever, let's look at the last game here. CD Alex once again going off. They aren't early picking the puck for them this time. They're saving it for later. Once again, same Radiant Dire first, second pick hasn't changed at all. We see the Shaker left in, but this time not picked up. They switch to the Enchantress for its Pat, and they switch to. It seems like they're just kind of randomly switching heroes here. I don't know if there's. I'm sure it's not random. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Like maybe they picked the Venge thinking, okay, if they pick the Monkey this time, because we don't want to change our bans, we'll preemptively try and counter the Monkey with the Venge or something. Try and swap them out of circle. That's a guess. Don't know. Maybe they just said, we just lost in their hero. I just want to play something else. Or maybe they were trying to use specific counters. Not 100% sure. But Venge maybe makes a bit of sense if you were trying to counter Monkey. I don't know. You do need levels to actually get range on swaps, so I don't think it's a good counter, but maybe there's like some logic there. I mean, Kill Yourself never even got to level 2 ultis, so that was probably not swapping Master out of any MK ultis. We see a Darkseer pick. They picked this hero against my team as well. It was actually a similar order, I think. I forgot what they picked game 1. Axe, I think it was, because we didn't let him get Sand King. But then they picked Phoenix, and then they picked Darkseer. So that's kind of funny. They did the same order. But, yeah, didn't look to have a great game here. I'm not sure if this hero is particularly good against Monkey King. I think Monkey King has a super easy lane here. If you can vacuum him off a tree, that's nice, although perhaps a little niche. I don't know how many situations you're really going to get to do that. I don't think he cares too much about wall, at least not more than your average hero. His base hero isn't really that scary. It's really the clones and the Jingu that do all the damage. So, don't know if I like that pick. Straight up, no, I don't like that pick. I think that's kind of questionable. We see a Treant, which I guess I'm seeing a fair bit of it. Seems like Flupper here did quite well on it. No complaints. CD Alex picks Puck in response to Lycan, which I think is meant to be pretty solid. I don't know about the lane. I don't even know if they knew Lycan was going mid. Maybe they could have guessed it was mid because they've been picking Yuki's hero last every game so far in the series. But I don't know how the matchup is, but I believe Coil is very good against Lycan because Lycan is supposed to run around in Wolfolt, obviously. So seems like a solid pick to me. It's obviously a pretty good hero right now, I think. At least I'm under that impression. They were willing to first pick it game 1, so they're clearly fans of it. Although it does seem that waiting on Alex's pick a bit has paid off here, and they'll probably continue doing that. And then lastly, we see this Underlord pick, which is also, I think, meant to be pretty good against Lycan. You have a lot of AoE damage for summons, as well as the AoE pit. And Wk9 responded to the last pick Troll. It seems like a really, really shitty Troll game. I would not want to pick Troll here. I don't get this at all. I think you struggle against the Monkey Pit, and I think you especially struggle against Monkey Pit when there's a Puck. You can lane against Underlord in theory pretty well, although Dotabuff is saying that he lost lane. It's not always reliable, though 18-minute Battle Fury, he probably did lose lane. That seems like a really bad pick to me. I don't know what else to say. I don't like the Wk9 draft at all here. I don't know how much of this is. I think part of it maybe is Victoria's Secret drafting very well. Maybe they even were prepared to counter some of these heroes with their picks, preemptively. I don't know, but generally speaking, I feel like I don't know if Wk9's. I think it's more Wk9 making mistakes. I mean, they had last overall pick and they picked a hero that I think was just very bad here. It's possible, of course, that I'm just totally wrong as always. And that the draft this isn't a bad troll game, but in my opinion, this is a terrible troll game. And that's just a waste of a last pick, and I think the Darkseer was very questionable as well. So, yeah, that's that game. I guess well played by Victoria's Secret. It looks very clean for the most part. They aren't really ever mass dying. There's like a bit of a net worth dip, I guess, when Monkey dies, maybe combined with some tower taking. Why exactly is it where their whole team dies? Or is this right before the whole team dies that the net worth dipped? Then it goes back up. So generally, these last two games looked very clean. Alex looks like they're playing incredibly well. It's really shocking actually to see Victoria's Secret in the winners final after such an abysmal group stage performance. But I guess we'll get to that later because I haven't finished going over all the games. So Creature versus Dumbledore. This is probably like one of the most painful games I've ever played. I'm very happy for my boys on Dumbledore to continue on. I felt like this was kind of a win-win situation going in. Obviously, always like to win, always like to believe my team is able to win, but at the end of the day, it's either my team or our sister team that continues. There's no real loss. That being said, the game itself was fucking awful. I wanted to die the entire time. As you can see, my team had a net worth lead the entire game, right off the bat. Like 5 minutes in, we have a 3k net worth lead. We ended the game with an 11k net worth lead. We could not break high ground to save our fucking lives. They had the stolen Astral and Rubik. They had Dro. They had double Yule Scepter. My troll was just permanently either in Astral or in the air. Everything sucked. Yeah, I think I played like shit, which makes it feel even worse from a personal point. Yeah, I don't know. It felt shitty. It's like we won early game. We had pretty good Roche control. I think we got maybe every Roche. We had a net worth lead, and we just couldn't break high ground to save our lives. And then we lost. So that's that. Pretty well played by Dumbledore. They did a little flip here in the draft where they picked Kavoth, his legendary Dro, and put Buttery Greg on the Rubik, which is a roll swap to what they normally do. Saving the secret strats for the BO1s. And I believe Dro's second most played hero for Kavoth. I know Rubik is Butter Greg's most played hero, so it's a very comfortable roll swap for them. Greg did really well with Stolen Astral. Kavoth maybe started a little bit, but once we got to high ground, he was definitely positioning incredibly well. So, yeah, overall well played, I think. Definitely gonna haunt me for a while, but that's fine. Yeah, and then there's the one more. Oh yeah, Idiots versus Vapor. Oh, I just played in this one 3 hours ago. Is there much to say here? Probably not. Idiots. It's probably for the best, honestly. The Idiots lost here. They're kind of a skeleton of a team. Both their supports are somewhat AWOL. Scrub kind of just quit. I don't know where X-Shell is. Me and Tree stood in again. I think they kind of just drafted heroes they wanted to play. Honestly, the game kind of felt fine for the early game. There was a lot of death. Vapor, I think, was playing very well in terms of like grouping up, getting kills, going for objectives. I think it could have been a little bit cleaner. There was just a lot of times the group get a kill and we split push, and it felt like they were at best trading objectives. Even though they were getting kills, which is good, and it was allowing them to maintain a bit of a gold lead. Overall, that probably more so came from the fact that Arc Warden was free farming than it did the kills, because I don't think running around with 4 tends to be super gold efficient, unless you're farming a lot in between. But either way, we had an early Clinks pick because Choco liked Clinks. Clockwork in response to the Earthshaker. Classic combo, very solid. Or classic counter, sorry, very solid. Early Underlord pick, Rubik in response to the Underlord. Played as 5. Tree wanted to play Rubik. There was a lot of just, I want to play this hero. Wafts just slammed in the AM for himself when he saw the Void Spirit, because he wanted to play AM. Slinky suggested offlane Io, was denied, offlane Brood was denied, and then settled on offlane Death Prophet, which he was allowed to play. And that was the game. It was felt kind of even for a while, and then real team fights broke out with Arc showing up. The Hex, I think in particular, was a bit of a game changer, as it was able to kill AM, who was giving them some issues. So yeah, pretty well played by Vapor. I don't think I was like blown away, given that Idiots was kind of a mess. It didn't seem like Vapor stomped. It was a convincing victory, but and I don't think Wasted Idiots is like totally garbage. I don't think they should be like expected to get totally stomped, but um, it was a little interesting. I felt like, and I could just be totally off here. Maybe they did need to wait for some timings because the AM was getting scary. I was almost surprised by how like the pressure didn't seem as high as I expected. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I expected the towers to be getting pushed more. Like I expected to be in more danger. Like we'd lose 2 or 3 heroes, and I expected things to go south very quickly. And because if you look down here, there's just constant death. Like people just dying all the time on Idiot's side. But the towers didn't go down very quickly, and there was a lot of trading where they would have like a bunch of kills near T2, and AM would just push down bottom lane and hit the T2, and they wouldn't hit our T2. I think we got their safe lane T2 before they got ours. It seemed a little weird. But overall, pretty good grouping from them. They played pretty well, I think. Made a lot of space for Arc Warden. But yeah, not it could use a little bit of improvement, in my opinion. So yeah, that's all that. Let's take a look at the bracket now before we go on to our predictions. Let's talk about the games that are actually happening, or how they're happening. So we have Victoria's Secret versus Coconuts in the upper bracket final, with Coconuts upsetting against Hellbears and Victoria's Secret just upsetting the entire way through. Once again, like, where's our tier list from end of group stage? Victoria's Secret F tier. What was their? Where's my They had 5 wins. I think one of which was a bye, so 3 played wins. Very surprising to see them here, but they are playing very well, so not much else to say. So we're gonna have Coconuts versus Victoria's Secret, and then in the lower bracket we have our second set of BO1s, and the last set of BO1s. We will have Dumbledore versus Wilgang, and we will have Vapor versus Hellbears, followed by the winner of the two playing a second best of 1. And then next week we will have the single best of 3 between the loser of Coconuts versus Victoria's Secret and the winner of the best of 1 brawl. It's very surprising to see Hellbears in lower bracket. Hellbears and Dumbledore both chilling there. I think it was entirely reasonable to think that Dumbledore and Hellbears would be facing in the upper bracket final, given that they were 1-2 seed. But they instead are potentially going to face in the lower bracket. Well, no, not even the lower bracket final. They can only face in this BO1. Only one will go through. So let's get to predicting. Expect 100%. We have the games laid out. There's only 3. Well, actually, there's 4. But yeah. Coconuts versus Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret has been playing very well. Has Coconuts been playing well? Coconuts had a very good showing versus Hellbears, and Victoria's Secret it's kind of weird because they have been looking very good these last 3 series, but that's kind of all I have to go off of because they did look very weak in the group stage. So this is honestly, I think we're at the point where everything between all the upsets, I'm not entirely confident in any of my predictions at this point. I kind of went from pretty good group stage predictions. All green? Pog? 3 wrong, 2 wrong, 2 wrong. It's very questionable playoff predictions. I think that's just because there's been a lot of upsets. So I feel inclined to give Coconuts the edge because they took out Hellbears, and they're also the highest MMR team. Did Coconuts play Secret in group stage? Maybe this is the question I should be asking for this one. Did they ever face off? Because they were both at the bottom of the bracket for a while. They played Antikythera, then Hellbears, then Creature, which was us, then Wards and Base, then Grid Ethereal. Oh god, yeah, the group stage was so weird, then Vapor. So no, they never played in group stage. So this is the first time they're facing off, at least for this league and this season. Yeah, I feel inclined to give an edge to Coconuts Gaming. Given how well Victoria's Secret has been playing, I wouldn't be super surprised to see them win. The game that I actually watched from them was their week 1 of playoffs against Wards and Base, where I did think they looked a little rough around the edges. They looked clearly better than Wards and Base, but it was far from a perfect performance. I haven't actually seen the games of their last 2 series, only that on paper it looks like they've been playing very well on Dota Buff. So yeah, Coconuts, on the other hand, look a little more solid. I said at one point I think they play a little bit below metal. I don't think I will go back on that, but it's like not really enough to matter here. I think they definitely seem to play very well as a. I think not only playing well as a team, I think the drafting was actually quite good. I don't know if they were messing around in group stage or if I was maybe just missing the point, but I was a little more. Well, I say that and they picked fucking Jug into Axe with an Arc Warden. Whatever. I like their early picks at least. I think their early picks that they had planned against Hellbears were very solid. So, meh. I'm not super convinced either way, but I'm gonna have to give it to Coconuts. I would almost be more expecting a 2-0 one way or the other than a 2-1. I don't know why, but I just feel like one of these teams is gonna be a lot better than the other. Especially since they haven't played each other. They don't have like this matchup specific draft data to go off of at all. I don't know. I'll give 2-0 to Coconuts. If Victoria's Secret 2-0, I wouldn't be surprised. If it goes 2-1 either way, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not super confident. Maybe I'll try and watch it. Ah, fuck. I agreed to stand in for someone on Thursday. Why'd I do that? Whatever. I'll try and watch what I can. Hellbears versus Vapor. This has got to be an easy 1-0, right? Like I said, Vapor, they've been playing pretty well, but I think they're similar to how I thought of Victoria's Secret versus Wards and Base. They look a little rough around the edges. Hellbear, even in that game I watched, they lost against Coconuts. They were looking very strong. I'm not entirely sure what happened in game 1, but it's the best one. Anything can happen, but I think this is very heavily Hellbear's favored. I would be surprised if Vapor pull off an upset here, even in the best of 1 format. Dumbledore versus Wilgang. Once again, could maybe go a little either way. Wilgang actually settled down as a team now. They finally have a consistent roster here, and they've been consistent with their drafts. I think they've been a little one-dimensional. The things they picked against my team were almost identical to what they picked against Victoria's Secret. And now that there's 6 games worth of draft data with like a lot of repeat picks, I think unless Wilgang has some cheese up their sleeve, I feel like Dumbledore can work off of that very heavily. I think Dumbledore's shown a bit more flexibility, although they've had more games to show the flexibility because they've had a consistent roster and they haven't really had that many forfeits. Maybe Wilgang will pull something out. It might be somewhat dependent on the flip. It looks like Yuki has a lot of shit he's willing to last pick. The Troll last pick maybe looked like a bit of a dud, but they also had that Alchemist last pick, which was incredibly effective. I think Dumbledore has a lot of stuff they can do with last pick as well. Maybe also a bit hit or miss. I know in like one of our scrims, I think they had a pretty shitty last pick, but maybe whoever takes that last pick in the best of 1 will be able to out-cheese the other one, get something sneaky at the end. Could probably go either way, but I'm going to give Dumbledore the upper hand. Which then leaves our potential game, which I am predicting to be Hellbears versus Dumbledore. These teams have played once already in the group stage. They went 1-1. Game 1, Dumbledore had a nice early game lead. Hellbears had a mid-Dusa that rushed a Rapier. The Dusa walked down mid and won, with the team playing around her very effectively. Game 2, Hellbears had a mid-Snapfire played by Control. It was not very good, and they... Oh god, sorry. I'm like almost sneezing. And they lost. I don't think that series was maybe a great indicator because it really looked like Hellbears was either screwing around or, at a bare minimum, trying out some new strats. I don't know. It seemed a little weird to me. I think Hellbears looked super good in their game against Coconuts, even though they lost, as I said. They didn't win, but of the game I saw, they still looked very solid. Dumbledore, on the other hand, I think probably I think they looked kind of weak against Victoria's Secret. And they also lost early game to my team very hard, even though they were able to hold that high ground and play very well in the fights. So I do feel somewhat inclined to give it to Hellbears. But I could see this one going either way. Like most of these, I think Hellbears versus Vapor is the only one I have a very strong opinion on here. But I will give it to Hellbears in the end. Should be italicized. Honestly, what would be interesting at this point, given there's so few teams left, is if I wonder if they would be interested or even allowed if all these like best of one games, if they like gentlemen's agreemented a best of three with reschedules, that could be somewhat interesting. I don't know if they'd do it. I don't know if they'd be interested. I don't know if they would be afraid of admins stepping in and giving forfeits because the admins seem to like to do that for no particularly good reason. But that would be interesting. I was kind of been thinking about that for a while. Given that like all of my best of ones got rescheduled pretty much, I was thinking it's like, a lot of people complained about the best of one format. If there's this many reschedules, people could just play best of threes if they wanted to. They rolled that way. But anyway, we're obviously going to assume best of ones for now, and they probably will be best of ones. And this is what I'm predicting. Do I have anything else to say here? There's been a lot of talk about next season, about some changes in regards to average MMR. I've complained about admin decisions a decent bit on this little show or whatever you want to call it. I'm a very big fan of the average change, though. I'll be interested to see how they deal with Immortals. I think previously talking to Max about Immortals in regards to the rule where you're allowed to have one player. There's like a rule where one of your players was allowed to be higher than Divine, I think. That was the rule, right, for this season? And there's something that Max said that is like, I wasn't convinced he understood how like Immortal MMR worked. Because I think he said in order for them to be eligible, they have to be below a certain rank. But the rank was super low, because like for other divs, I think you were allowed to have like, so for like Contender, you're allowed to have like one Ancient One or something. And, for Intermediate, you're allowed one Divine One. I think if your team had played together in a previous season, maybe that was the rule. But then, so it was meant to be like a little bit higher than the cap, I think. And he said he like used the example of like a mortal rank like 4,000 something, and it's like the MMR is so low you're actually below Divine 5 at that point, I think. Anyway, something weird. And then he was also talking very recently in feedback about how he wanted to try and use leaderboard rank to determine immortals for the averaging, which is a fucking terrible idea. If you know how immortal leaderboard rank work, they change all the fucking time. It's entirely dependent on how many people have their rank number active, because if you don't play enough rank games, it'll go away temporarily. So there's still room for the admins to fuck up, but generally speaking, I like the change quite a lot. I'm looking forward to it. I might have to restructure my team around it. I kind of hope not. But we'll see what they do with Immortals. I might have one of my team members leaving anyway, so I guess that would fix the problem. But anyway, I'll figure that out later. My team is dead. The content is not dying, though. I will be back next week, even if there's only one game to predict. So till then, yeah, peace.